What is my purpose? That is probably the biggest question that I get when people come to see me for guidance or advice from their spirit guides, their angels. When I'm tapping into the spirit around them for guidance in their life, they're constantly asking me, what is my purpose? What the heck am I doing here? I think that this is something that is so innate within us, especially those of you out there that are empaths, that are very in tune with your impact on the world. How are you going to do that? What kind of impact are you going to have? What is your purpose here in this lifetime? I want to help you in this video get a little bit closer to understanding what that is. So let's do that right now. Welcome to Spirit Speaks with psychic medium Jennifer Hall. So in my readings, when I am sitting down with somebody, I am very upfront with what a purpose is and what it's not. I feel like that I wanted to share with you guys very quickly that I truly am very loose with the term purpose. I don't know that I believe that we are all here for a specific mission or that we're here to change the world. I truly believe that our souls are present in this lifetime to grow and expand and experience. And however we end up doing that, I think is fantastic. Whether it's one way or another, I don't think that there's a right or wrong way of experiencing joy and living life to the fullest. So when I talk about somebody's purpose, I'm very light with it. And I just sort of kind of mentioned that because sometimes this term purpose comes with a responsibility. And that is not what Spirit wants us to feel when we get here. So we don't necessarily get here with this big mission to change the world or to fix things. The world doesn't necessarily need fixing by us. We are here to truly experience joy and all of the ups and downs that come along with being a human. So that being said, there is definitely that eagerness or that feeling of wanting to impact while we're here, to creating and finding something that makes us feel connected with the world, that makes us feel like as if we do have a purpose or a reason for being here that's maybe a little bit more concrete than just I want to be here to have fun or I'm here to expand. Like, what does that even mean? So when we're talking about purpose, just keep a very open mind that there isn't really a right or wrong thing. But what I want to help you find is that one thing, that one process that makes you feel like you are on point, that it makes you feel like you're on your path, and makes you feel like as if it's what you want, that you're impacting others along the way. Okay, so I want to share with you guys 5 questions that you can ask yourself. So they're kind of like journal prompts. Maybe they're just questions that you can just sit here and ask yourself or kind of contemplate while you're watching this video. Or maybe you want to take some time and, like I said, maybe do some journal prompting or even some meditation with these specific questions to bring you to a place of really kind of dissecting that purpose, or really sort of diving deep into what that might look like for you in your life. And one thing that I just want to mention as well, this is something that I share in my readings when we're talking about kind of what comes next, what the future looks like, what your purpose is. It's about that our purpose isn't always our career. And I think that a lot of the time we get totally caught up in the fact that in a career we need to be doing something that fulfills us. And don't get me wrong, I believe that that's true. It's no fun to be miserable at your job, and especially if you're going to be spending, 8 hours a day or more, 5 days a week or more at a place where you're not fulfilled and where you're not happy. That's not good, but it doesn't mean that you're not fulfilling your purpose. And I'm going to get to some examples a little bit later in this video, but I just want to kind of let you sort of stew on that a little bit, that just because you're doing one thing in your job, it does not mean that you cannot fulfill your purpose or fulfill, an intention to impact people outside of your job. That being said, there are a lot of people that create a job or a career or find that based off of their passion and their interests, which tend to be their purpose or their impact as well. So just kind of leaving that with you guys. Let's get to those 5 questions. Okay, so I kind of feel like as if we're going back to like high school with this when we're trying to figure out what we want to do with our life. But I want you to ask yourself this question. So the very first thing is, what are my interests? What am I interested in? And just stick with me with this, because I know that this is kind of obvious and it's sort of something that like maybe you should already know what your interests are, but I promise you that it is so rare that we actually sit down with ourselves and make a list of all the things that excite us, things that we're passionate about, things that we're interested in even. And I want to use myself as a bit of an example as I'm going through these 5 questions. I want it to be brief, but I also want to give you guys some context around it. So back when I was probably I would say probably about 5 years before I actually started doing this work as a medium, I kind of hit a point where I was like, what the heck am I doing? What am I doing with my life? And I was a mom, or becoming one, about to become one at least. And I just didn't really, I never really settled in a career or anything like that. I was sort of a floater, if you will. And I was fine, I was happy, but I sort of just had that kind of instinct, that feeling that I know so many of you have, where it's like, what am I doing? I feel like I need to be doing a little bit more, something that feels a little bit more significant. It's not just about paying the bills. It's about contributing somehow to the world. So what is my contribution? And I just sort of came up with this list of things, and I found it actually just a couple of years ago, and it was so cool because I think almost everything on that list I was doing in some way, shape, or form. So I wrote down what I was interested in, and I kind of wrote it in the fact that just literally subjects that interested me. And for me, that was things like Reiki or energy work, and it was oracle cards and tarot cards and crystals and educating people, and it was teaching people or inspiring others. It was about spirit, obviously, and a lot about the law of attraction and things that had worked for me in my life, and that kind of stuff. I had this huge list of all of these things that, several years later, I ended up kind of teaching all of those things or somehow sharing that with others. And a lot of it just ended up being stuff that I kind of consumed myself in because it fulfilled me, because it made me feel good, because it made me feel happy. So question number one, what are your interests? Really dive deep and find that out, because if we don't sit and ask ourselves that, we're going to end up just kind of floating through life and really just sort of doing things because other people think that it's a good thing for us to do, or because we think that it pays the bills, or because we think it's a good opportunity, or whatever our excuses are. But not always are we going to be doing things that actually interest us. So find that out first. What are you interested in? Write them down, and let's get to the next question. Okay, so question number 2, kind of the same question, but a little bit twofold. What are you good at? And I would say ask yourself this question more along the lines of, what would other people say that you're really good at? So is that you're a very good listener? Is it that you're a very good speaker? Maybe you're really good at offering advice or guidance for people. Maybe you're like the rock for people. Maybe you give a very good perspective in times of need. Maybe you're really good at educating people, or maybe you're really good at sharing what you love, sharing what you know. Maybe you're really good at anything to do with nature. So maybe fitness or nutrition or animals or outdoors. Maybe you're good with plants, or I don't know. What are you good at? And you can ask around. I mean, that might be awkward, but you can do that if you're lacking some inspiration. But really kind of ask yourself, what am I good at? And if you can't answer that yourself, if you can't find something that you're good at, I hope that you can, because there's got to be things that you're really good at in this life and that you've kind of been good at, maybe since you were little. Maybe it's creative things, maybe it's drawing or cooking or baking or whatever. But also kind of ask yourself in the terms of what other people would maybe think that you're good at as well. Okay, journal prompt or question number 3 is, what have been the common denominators, I don't know if that's the right word, the common threads in your life, the things that keep kind of reoccurring in your life, whether that's as lessons to be learned, maybe things that keep coming up for you to learn and to experience, or experiences of growth. Maybe it's things that, again, like I said, things that you're good at. Maybe it's things that you're interested in. As an example, for me, things that kept kind of coming up were different teachers and different resources to help me really truly understand, speaking with spirit, or whether that's energy work or channeling. Also a lot about the law of attraction. I kind of just, everywhere I went, I would hear about maybe a new author, or I would listen to a new audio, or be invited to a new workshop that kind of got me into that type of stuff. So it was things that was sort of happening behind the scenes, and this was way back when I wasn't really intending to do what I'm doing right now. So find those common threads, those common denominators, and this is going back for me, like I would say back into high school, when I was sort of interested in different workshops and things like that, and different books and resources basically that kind of helped me to educate myself a little bit around what I was interested in, what I was passionate about. And all through my life, these things have kind of followed me, especially when I kind of start feeling like I'm questioning my path, or I'm questioning my purpose, or I'm questioning anything. I tend to kind of get pulled back in by some sort of common denominator that pulls me back to this place of where my passion really lies. So find what those threads are. This might be a little bit of a trickier thing. So you might want to do this in meditation, or you might want to do this with just kind of in a quiet place. It might not be super easy to just do right here, right now, while you're watching this video. So take some time with this and kind of look back and see where the common threads are. Is there a creative thread there? Is there something that always brings you back to something with working with your hands or creating something for other people? So find out what that is. Maybe it's a healer thing. Who knows? I'm so excited for you. I just feel like as if I want to say all the things that it might be. So find that out. What question was that? Number 3 is to find the common threads in your life, because this can truly be the little whispers from your inner being, the little whispers from your guides and your angels, bringing you back to your path, bringing you back to your path, bringing you back to your path. And there might be something there for you. Okay, so question number 4, kind of going off of what I just said, it's about creativity. Now, I want you to know that almost all purposes, again, if we're using that word, all impacts, they happen through a creative force. Because we are truly here, we're very, very creative beings on a soul level, and we're here to create on a human level, on a physical level. We're here to create our life and create our future. And if that has to do with impacting others, fantastic. And if it just has to do with contributing to the world, fantastic. But find where you're creative. And some of you guys out there might be like, I don't have a creative bone in my body. But I promise you, you do. You have creative life force energy flowing through you at every single second of the day. It's a matter of just tapping into it. You might not have an ability where, ever since you were a young child, you could draw, or, the gift of words to write or something like that. Maybe you can't bake, maybe you can't cook, but there's so many other things. Like I had mentioned before, being creative could mean using your body for something. It could be doing yoga, it could be running, or it could be working with nature, working with plants or animals, all that kind of stuff. So find the creative in you. And if you cannot find it, I totally encourage you to try different things. Try something creative before you start kind of getting down about not having a purpose or anything like that, or not knowing what your purpose is. Try a few different things creatively and see if that doesn't ignite something within you. At least what it does is it loosens up those creative energies, and again, that creative life force can run through us freely, uninterrupted, and it can bring you those ideas and bring you kind of towards that path of what your purpose really is. Okay, and number 5 is kind of a bit of a visualization exercise. If you haven't done one of these before, I encourage you to just, again, it could be after you turn off this video, but close your eyes, sit with maybe a paper and a pen so that you can jot some notes down afterwards. But basically it's going into a tiny little meditation, just a quiet contemplation moment where you get to kind of visualize what your life looks like. And I want you to do this. I want you to imagine that there is absolutely no restriction. Money's not an issue. Time is not an issue. So it's not about, oh, I don't have enough time for this, or I can't do that. You're not going back in time. Who cares? Time's not an issue. Money's not an issue. Nothing really is an issue. Location's not an issue. Anything like that. I want you to picture what you would do with your life if you could do anything differently. Maybe you won't change anything, and that is fantastic. So it could be, what would you add to your life? What would you add to the richness of the life that you already have that would make it maybe a little bit richer, or make it a little bit more fulfilling, or make it a little less stressful, or anything like that? So this is really a practice tool. This is not just a question to ask yourself one time. This is truly something that you can work on if you want to kind of really commit to finding what your purpose is and to finding where you want to make that impact in your life. I would sit with this question every day for a small amount of time, for maybe 7 days, or maybe just 3 days, or maybe 30 days. I guess I would do it for however long it takes to find that passion and to really kind of solidify that, because what you're doing is you're kind of creating, again, those creative juices to flow open and evenly and really fluidly, so that you can get that inspiration of what path you want to move on, if you need to change your path or not. But basically, what is your purpose, all that kind of stuff to answer that question. But the other thing that you're really doing with this is you're working with the law of attraction, and you're solidifying a place of eagerness and happiness. And when you imagine yourself in a place of no boundaries, in a place of no restriction, and if you know for sure that you're not going to fail, what would you be doing? And picture yourself there. Imagine what it looks like, without imagining the fact that you haven't done it yet, or that, oh, that's totally out of my reach, or I would love to do that, but that would never happen. Because you never know what kind of doors are going to open up for you. Just don't close off the universe because you don't think it's possible. So work with this. Work with the law of attraction. Work with that visualization exercise every single day for a little bit of time. And I promise you will get closer, if not finding that next step for you. What is your purpose? Like I said at the very beginning, I believe that our purpose truly is to enjoy life, to experience and to grow and to expand in our souls and in our relationships, which are like the richest thing that we can do here in this life. That being said, a lot of us feel ignited to something more powerful, to something more impactful, something maybe more one-on-one, or something, very creative. Whatever it happens to be, it's going to be different for every single person, and it's going to look differently. And it doesn't always look the way that we imagine it to. So just be patient with yourself, but ask yourself these 5 questions, maybe work with them every single day if you can. And I promise that you will feel at least more on your path and a little bit more grounded and sure of where you're at right now, and maybe even where you're headed and what you feel your purpose might be. As always, friends, thank you so much for joining me. You mean the world to me. If you haven't already, I encourage you to please subscribe down below. Hit that notification button so you can be notified when I release new videos every Tuesday. And feel free to comment below. Tell me, what's your passion? What's your purpose? Have you found it yet? Have you not? Are you going to try these methods? Have you tried something already? Talk to me. Tell me down below. Love you guys so much. Have a great day.